Okay. Um, as most of you know, collecting vinyl is harder now, especially if you're on a budget because the pricing has gone up. Now, I own a vintage record store. I don't sell new, just vintage pressings. I've been here for 20 years doing it. I sell lots of other vintage goods. Back in the day, it was just called a junk shop. Now it's a vintage nostalgia shop. But it has gotten harder, and I collect. I have probably over 2,000 in my collection. I've been collecting for 35, maybe 40 years, basically my whole life, starting when I was like 10 or 11 all the way till over 50. And it is getting pricier. In the 90s, that's when my collection really exploded because people were giving away records and I was just taking them. I would ask at garage sales and people are like, if you can pull it out of the basement, it's yours. Save me the trip to the dump. Because everybody's going for CDs. It's kind of flipped now. Now we're at the point where if you ask about CDs at a garage sale, people will tell you that same kind of thing. Just like back then in the 90s, it started getting harder and harder to find really good records. Like, the stuff I'm into is like kind of the odd, the weird. Like I love what I guess the kids call alternative music, punk, hardcore, shoegaze was sort of one of my biggest. A lot of the college rock and indie rock, that sort of thing. Jazz I love, soul and funk. But finding the really good stuff, even in the 90s, was getting harder and harder as we rolled into 2000s. CDs are there right now, I think. 5 years ago, there were lots of good CDs, and most thrift stores had them at $1 or less. And now I'm finding it really hard to find good CDs at all, or what I consider to be good CDs at all. Like if you want the Backstreet Boys and all that stuff, it's there and in droves. But if you're looking for, say, I don't know, a Brian Eno CD or anything, it's getting harder and harder to find because people seem to be hanging on to those. I'm not even going to edit that out. I'm just going to leave it. There you go. But the, where was I? Oh man, that's the thing about being, my age. But yeah, the thing is getting those good CDs is harder and harder. And I think what's happening is what happened to records as well. When mom and dad are getting rid of their CD collection, the kids are like, I want that, I'll take that. And so instead of going out to the thrift stores, it's going there, or it's going on Marketplace, or people are taking it in the stores now because stores are paying more. The problem is that thrift stores are charging more. It is like, yesterday I saw, I'll show you what I got. The reason why I'm making this video is because it's going to be real quick. The preamble will probably be longer than the actual CD itself. I got some good CDs at a Value Village, which for my friends in the United States is the equivalent of Savers. I think they're the same company. It's just over here they call it Value Village. The CDs that I got are really good CDs. I had to leave some behind. I'll show you what I got in a second, but know that I left behind quite a few things that I either had already on vinyl, or I just wasn't willing to pay $5.99 for a CD, which I know sounds ridiculous, but that's $6. Now, okay, that is Canadian, so it's probably around $4.50 American. Bonkers. I'm sorry, we're not there yet. Maybe in retail stores, like brick and mortar stores, sure. Record stores, sure, I can see it. There's $15 and $20 CDs showing up because there are. You go on Discogs, and there are CDs that are particularly rare and particularly desirable. But these were the ones that were in the $5.99 range were Neil Young. Pretty sure he sold millions of CDs in the 90s. And there were ones there from the 90s that I don't have in my collection, like Weld, which is like this feedback drenched interesting thing that he did. But it was a lot of his 90s stuff. And again, not isn't really particularly rare. So I didn't buy them, but I'll show you what I got right now, and it is a good lot. I'll show you the receipt too, so you can sort of see. The most I paid was $3.99. I paid $4 for a CD, which to me is bonkers, but they're good stuff. So let's check it out. Okay, so there they are. I should probably mention that I did pick up some 78s, which were reasonably priced. I don't normally do a lot of 78s, but there was a few there that were some earlier sort of rockabilly rock and roll stuff, which I'll always pick up so long as they're cheap. And $1.50 to me is cheap for 78. I mean, that's still a great screaming deal as far as I'm concerned. There was nothing in the way of like regular 33 RPM records, nothing in the 45s, nothing in the cassettes. You know, and honestly, I'm at the point now, I don't go to thrift stores as much as I used to, not the corporate ones anymore. Like Goodwills and Value Village, just because there's nothing there. The stuff usually, like, I'm sure if you go every single day, you're gonna find something, but is it worth it? The amount of hours you have to put in looking and the diminishing returns. Because the other thing too is they all know, the corporate know, because head office sends them notes what to look for, and they know generally when they see a bunch of records what is, you know, frankly stuff that nobody really wants and what is desirable, and they check those you know, titles before it goes out. Once in a while, sure, things get missed, but generally they'll put it in the their showcases at like retail plus, like more than I could ask for it, and they don't check condition. Like, that is not something they do. So yeah, it's sort of become, as I've mentioned before, harder and harder. What is still does show up is decent CDs, not as much as it used to. Like even 5 years ago, sort of before the COVID-19 thing, there were always good CDs. It was just, and I would leave stuff behind because it's like, I'll get it next time or whatever. And I do have a large, I mentioned that I have a large vinyl collection, which, by the way, if you're interested, I am doing a flip through of my records alphabetically, just to sort of document what I've had. It's kind of fun. You might want to go check that out. I'll put a link in the description there. But I have been getting CDs, not like it used to be, but still pretty good. So we'll go through this. The first one I picked out, and because my CD collection is also probably over that 2,000 mark at this point, which is pretty ridiculous. And what often happens is you pick up CDs that you already have. And I got this one. The one that I'm still missing, and I owned it, I don't know where it went, is Yoshimi from the Lips. I have pretty much most of their CDs now. But this is a Soft Bullet, and I actually like more than Yoshimi anyways. But it turns out I do have it. Now, I only had to pay $1.99 for this one. And the Yoshimi one was one of the $5.99s, and it was scratched. And again, I don't even know that they check condition. Anyways, you know what? I should show you the receipt. There's the receipt there. And you can see the CDs, and that is all Canadian, by the way. So there you go. So it is, you know, just so you doubt it. And there's the price tag. I still left that on. I got to take it off. Now, I have this. But there's something a little special because I actually worked in a CD store when this came out. I worked at an HMV for a little period of time. And when this first came out, the first batch that we got had let's see if I can get it out here with one hand, this little folder, which contains, when you flip it open, and again, I don't know how many were produced or anything like that, but I know that the first batch that we got had these, and then after that, when we got our second order in, it was just the regular thing. They come with these cards, basically, which are images, and and things. There's Jarvis, and all the songs on there, and just, you know, these were included later, but in a just part of the regular folding thing. So what's cool about this one is you can change the cover over time. So, you know, you can put that one in there if you get bored, and then you've got a different cover, and you can do it with every single one of those. Again, that was the first batch that we received. The second batch that we got in when we reordered came as just the regular sort of fold out booklet. So whenever I see this one, I pick it up because, you know, for somebody, this is a classic 90s album. I love it. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. And you try to get the sort of, I don't know, it's not the same as vinyl, but I think when you do get a difference in the sort of packaging altogether, that's something I always keep my eye out for. Another band that I love is the Tindersticks. Now, you don't find Tindersticks very often at thrift stores, like never. I think this might be the first time. And this, I believe, is a 2000 and, what does it say right there? I can't read that. 2006. I don't have this. I love the Tindersticks, as I may have mentioned, and this one was $3.99, which is fine for me. It's got all the packaging. The CD is totally clean, and so it's great. Now here's another one. Again, Tom York, Radiohead's singer, one of his solo records, The Eraser. I love the packaging on this. Again, it was $3.99, but it's super clean and has all the inner sleeve inserts and all the things for it, and it's an amazing record. So totally no-brainer for me. Here's another one that I actually already have, and I have to check which version of it is. This one says made in Japan, so I haven't really gone through it actually to see if maybe this might be a Japanese pressing, or were they all made in Japan? No, this might be a Japanese. Oh, there you go. I'm glad I got that. I didn't even check it. So that makes that one, you know, and it's got the $19.95 price tag on it from back in the day. It's $3.99. I grabbed it. I should look to see if that is actually Japanese or not. That'd be interesting. That is definitely one I don't have. Or maybe all the CDs were made in Japan back then. Again, I should know these things, but I don't. So, yeah, maybe it's just a regular, I don't know, mystery for me to dig into. So yeah, this is the first one that caught my eye when I realized, because I don't know if when you're going through CDs, you're like, oh, there's nothing here. And then sometimes you find one and you're like, oh crap, I got to go back and check. And that's what I did with this. And I think it was a collection, and it was spread throughout the whole thing. So I might actually own this on vinyl already. And it's Harold Budd and Brian Eno. It's part of the Ambient series that he did. And my favorite thing about these, this one was only $1.99, probably because they don't know who that is. But you see there, the analog digital. More and more guys I've seen on different CD sites are really looking for that. Because for those who don't know, when CDs first came out, everything was about digital. But when they did the, issued a lot of initial copies of some of the vinyl reissues on CD. So I believe the first one is analog recording. I think the second one is for analog mastering, and then obviously the final one is for what it actually is, which is digital. It's a CD, so it's going to be digital. And what guys now are really looking for is they're chasing the A's, as they say. Back in the day when CDs first came out, I remember everybody was chasing the D's. You wanted all D's across there. You wanted digital recording, a digital master, and you wanted obviously it was CD, so digital format. But now it's, flipped, and people are looking for, an analog recording, an analog mastering on a digital thing. So basically it's like, a record on a CD, as they say. So this is probably an early, if not first pressing. Kind of hard to find. It was only $1.99, so that was a no-brainer. And here is another Tindersticks CD, which, again, I don't think I found a Tindersticks CD at the thrift stores ever. So that's kind of a nice thing to come along. And it's a later one too. I think this is, oh boy, where are we at here? I don't know if it says on there or not. No, I can't see it, but I'm going to say this is probably early to mid 2000s. Again, $3.99, but it's in really nice shape. One of my favorite bands of all time, I've seen a bunch of times, is Tengo. And again, this one I don't have on vinyl. I may have it on CD, but I'm not 100% sure. Generally, anything that came out on Matador around that period of time is really good. This is the early 2000s. I think it's 2006. What does it say there? Sure, we'll say 2006. $3.99, really clean. All the stuff is in there. There's Ira. And, well, so this is Another Green World. I bought this on vinyl like last year, and I paid up for it. I think it was over $40 for it. You know, sometimes you just wait long enough to get it. But it's a brilliant recording too. And again, I don't know if this one anywhere says the D's as such. Sometimes they would say, oops, can I get this open? You'd think opening CDs would be easier than doing vinyl. No, yeah, it doesn't even have it on there anymore. So this is probably all full digital recording. Although it's early enough, it have to be an analog recording digitally mastered. I think they sort of got rid of that after a while. So that's that. And then the last CD that I got out of there, that was, again, another harder to find band, the Eels. They had a big hit in the 90s, and I cannot remember the name of it. Like, a lot of these bands should never have been signed to major labels, but when Nirvana hit, every label was out to get it, and they just bought up every band. You know, they backed up with dump trucks full of money to these bands and who took the advances. And some of them never recovered from it. Some of them still owe money on those advances against their sales. So, but they did get the kind of radio exposure that, you know, did lead to some of them having some hits. And I cannot remember for the life of me now that Eel song in the 90s. Maybe if you guys do, put it in the comments. And I'll probably remember it as soon as this video is done, because that's the way my brain works lately. This is 2005. It's a 2 CD set. And again, another brilliant band that you don't see very often at thrift stores anymore. You don't see them at garage sales. You don't see them even like at like brick and mortar record stores anymore. Like really good bands, if they come in, they don't last too long. So there you go. So that was that. For me, again, it was quick. Not a lot of CDs, but really, for me, quality way over quantity on this one. So I'm super happy with that. Again, I had to leave a lot of stuff behind because the pricing on some of them was up in the $5.99 range. And to me, that's just bonkers. And again, some of those $5.99 ones, I don't know if they would have played because they had a lot of like wear on them. These are all super clean. So, go through the 78s just because, well, I'm here. So Thurston Harris is a sort of like a what's that so? GTO Cheapers riding in a lap. Okay, that's not even the right thing. Sort of rockabilly soul artist, really cool stuff. And that's that one side. Quite rare, actually, as a lot of the rockabilly things are, because the thing about 78s is they break easy. I mean, you drop one and it hits the dirt, it's done. I mean, and you got to be careful when you're carrying them around in crates and things like that, because they will crack. Jack Scott, he's a Canadian rockabilly guy. This is an early one on Carlton. I think this might be 1958. Not 100% sure. So classic with Chuck Berry, with Reelin' and Rockin', and then the B-side for it. These are all the Canadian ones. Sweet Little 16, just classic early rock and roll. This is on the Quality label, which Quality was a Canadian label that did a lot of the early rock and roll and rockabilly. They had a lot of country and stuff like that, but they moved on. And then this is the Elegance, and Getting Dizzy on side A, and then Little Star on the other side. It's on Spartan label, which is a Canadian label there. So, oh boy, there's my old knees. That's it. It's just a quick one today. I didn't want to, go into, but I just, when I find really good CDs now, I get excited about it. So I hope you guys do too. I hope you're able to find some cool stuff in, you know, when they're out there digging around the thrift stores and the dusty old shops, kind of like mine. Hey, you know what? If you're in the area, it's Dunnville, Ontario. Come check out my store. I'll put a link to the store pages and stuff in there. If you want to see that stuff, feel free. And yeah, good luck hunting.